Hello guys, and Happy New Year to all of you. I hope you guys spent some good time with your friends, family, and ate some good food if you did. I haven't uploaded a video since last year, but yesterday there was something specific to Splatoon 3 that might be hinting of some sort of big update. Now, I'd like to make it clear, this is not a rumor in terms of what Nintendo has done just now, but I guess we could say we are now into speculation mode of what this could potentially mean for Splatoon 3. So what am I talking about? Yesterday, I saw this tweet by Stealth40k. They basically said that Splatoon 3 has been rated for Switch 2 in Europe. First Pikmin 4, which is actually a mistake, it's actually Pikmin 3 Deluxe, and now Splatoon 3. They then link this Gemitsu article and basically just showing that, hey, it's been rated for Nintendo Switch 2. And if you go on the article, you'll find this image where it says, of course, Splatoon 3 for Nintendo Switch, which was, of course, the release date, 9/9/2022. We should all know by now that Splatoon 3 is a Nintendo Switch game. But as you can see, it also says Nintendo Switch 2, the last day of 2025, and Splatoon 3 is not a Switch 2 game. As we know right now, Splatoon 3 does not have a Switch 2 edition of the game. But what this could mean is that Splatoon 3 could have the potential of having a Switch 2 version of the game, which is crazy because I didn't even think they would potentially go through this route. And just to be clear, I mean, of course, this doesn't actually prove that, oh, they are 100% going to make a Switch 2 version of the game. But I think why this is important is because why would they do that? Like, why would they even list it as a Switch 2 game when it's not a Switch 2 game? That would only mean one thing, that there's going to be a Switch 2 version maybe coming out in the future. Now, for me, there are plenty of reasons for why I didn't think that this could even be a potential route. Mainly because, of course, if you have your Switch 1 players and you have your Switch 2 players, and I feel like it's just a thing that you can't exactly have it where you include, like, let's say, new game type or new something that only Switch 2 players can play, but Switch 1 players can't play. Like, it's kind of a thing where, like, in terms of content, I guess usable content like weapons and all that, everyone needs to have all those weapons. Like, if you're playing on Switch 1, you're playing on Switch 2, everyone needs to have that. I think another thing that could be pointed out, which maybe is not as strong, but let's just say that there's specific data on the Switch 2, and you, for whatever reason, you decide, okay, I'm going to move it back to my Switch 1, and then I guess it's just a thing that it could only be played on the Switch 2. I don't know. It can get a little bit confusing in my opinion, but I think for me, as long as all weapons and all maps and the Switch 1 players and the Switch 2 players can play with each other at the same time, I mean, I think as long as that is possible, then anything really goes. So if this is to be true, where there is going to be a Switch 2 version of Splatoon 3, what would they include? Well, the first thing, I'm just going to get my Joy-Con out, is just that maybe if they do a Switch 2 version of the game, they can actually implement a mouse mode. Now, a lot of people have already asked me, can I play mouse mode on Splatoon 3 even though it's still the Switch 1 version of Splatoon 3? And I said it several times, is that of course you can't do that just yet, because even though we're playing Splatoon 3 on a Nintendo Switch 2, it doesn't automatically change it into a Switch 2 version of the game. Like, we have to have a specific Switch 2 version of Splatoon 3 to be able to even enable mouse mode, because again, it's still the Switch 1 version of the game, and if there is a mouse mode, that would need to be explained in the game as well. Like, if they did it as a free update to the Nintendo Switch 1 version of the game, then, like, people who only have a Switch 1 are going to see the mouse control option, and it's just going to be like, okay, well, let me get my Joy-Con out. Oh, wait, why doesn't it work? Like, it's gonna confuse people, you know? So those kinds of menus, speaking specifically on the mouse, need to be on a dedicated Switch 2 version of the game. I feel like that would be the only way to really make it make sense if you're going to implement mouse mode into Splatoon 3. So there needs to be a Switch 2 version of the game. So that, I guess, this could be potential, and it could be a thing where, like, even the Splatoon developers didn't even know if they could actually make it work, and maybe it's just been a thing that they've been working in the background to actually make it work. So You never know. Maybe in 2026 we do see that. But it's just a thing right now. Just, you know, time will tell if this is actually something that is true. Another thing that they could potentially do is that if they do make a Switch 2 version of Splatoon 3, is allow it to do 120 frames per second. And now I know for a fact people are going to be like in the comments, no, dude, that's not fair. That's not fair that these people can see in 60, and that's not fair that these people could see in 120. It's not fair. Well, I'm just going to say it straight up. Life isn't fair. There are people with PCs that can only run at 60. There are people with PCs that can run at 480 hertz. Yet they all play in the same domain, and it's all just, you know, it is what it is. Game is game. We've seen this in several games for years. If you've got the hardware that can run the game faster than usual or at its, I guess, peak performance, that would be something that would be allowed, and it'd be a selling point for people to get a Switch 2 with Splatoon 3. And I know people aren't gonna like me saying that, but that's just how it is. I don't make the rules, that's just how it's been for years, but I'm just here to tell you the truth. And to be brutally honest, I feel like the people who would actually benefit with the faster 120 frames per second performance mode, however you want to call it, generally the people who like play Splatoon a lot. Like, I feel like the people who are actually going to notice the difference and actually like take advantage of the faster input latency and all that type of jazz, like I feel like only those people are really going to benefit, and people who are actually sensitive to those things, aka myself. So to be real, it might not even be worth it to everyone, but only the most competitive folk among the Splatoon community. So yeah, if it does happen, and I mean, what I just gonna say is bring on the war, dude. I'm really interested to see how people would react and what people will say. So honestly, if they do it, I just say go ahead. Just make. I think it'll be a really interesting talking point and really interesting to show off if it is a thing. So, you know, I think lastly, if they were to bring a Switch 2 version of Splatoon 3, I guess last thing, but this is like a couple of different things. Like, I guess the last thing would be if you get the Switch 2 version of the game, you get a specific DLC that can be only played in the Switch 2 version of the game or something like that. Now, of course, I'm just spitballing my ideas of what I think they could do, but this is kind of like a maybe they could, but maybe they probably wouldn't, because, of course, Splatoon Raiders, the new game that's supposed to come on specifically for Switch 2, that is also most likely coming out this year. So if there were to be a DLC or another DLC for Splatoon 3, I'm just like, maybe not. Or maybe it's a thing where if you have the Switch 2 version of Splatoon 3 and you have Splatoon Raiders, I guess maybe you can get extra content or transfer some content from Splatoon Raiders over to Splatoon 3. Like, it could be kind of a, like, maybe there's a link between these two, actually. So maybe you could get like specific, I guess, variants of weapons, like, of course, not completely different variants, but like maybe different skins of weapons, or different gear, or just, I don't know, like basically just taking content from Raiders in and transfer it into Splatoon 3, but the only way it can work is that if you have the Switch 2 or Switch 2 version of Splatoon 3. So I think that's probably a decent possibility, instead of just being like a standalone DLC that's coming to the specifically to the Switch 2 version of Splatoon 3, because I feel like if that was the case, it probably wouldn't make sense. I feel like you could still put that to the regular version of Splatoon 3, because I feel like both of them would be able to run in some sort of way. So but yeah, I guess that's just the other idea that could be a potential thing for why there may be a Splatoon 3 Switch 2 version or anything like that. But yeah, this is all really interesting. I mean, I'll show you guys the thing again. Yep, this is very much true. Nintendo Switch 2 for Splatoon 3. This is definitely, it didn't release around this date, but maybe this is just something that could be cooking for us very, very soon. So the only thing I gotta say is just, what do you guys think? What do you guys think of this, you know, listing that's just come out for Splatoon 3? What are your ideas? Do you think mouse mode would be really, really good? Do you think the 120 FPS mode would be unfair? Are you excited for Splatoon Raiders? Do you think my idea for DLC, or I guess content from Splatoon Raiders to come into the Splatoon 3 and all that type of stuff? Let me know in the comment section below. I'd really like to hear you guys' thoughts. I'm just a messenger, so don't hate me for saying what I feel. And yeah, that's all I gotta really say. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys had a great New Year's, and I'm excited for what is to happen in the future. So thank you so much, guys, for watching. I shall see you guys in a future video.